6:30, several laws take effect this weekend as we start July. One of them could impact kids in schools. Get the details on how student safety is on the rise. Plus,
we know that dust clouds can travel, several miles, and that there is pollution.
a quarry in Crawford County has people worried about a local campground for Girl Scouts. Find out why Scout leaders are so concerned.
And if you're going to be outside of any kind of camps, you're going to be dealing with the heat and humidity across central Georgia. We'll map out the timing and how it impacts your 4th of July festivities.
13 WMAZ morning starts now. Good morning. It is Thursday, June 29th. I'm Caitlin Heck here with meteorologist Alex Forbes. You know, we've been talking about being out in the heat and humidity for all the 4th of July events, but you're right, all the camps that are happening right now, too.
That's right. In fact, many, summer camps have a ton of outdoor activities.
Yes.
So, yeah, happening this week to round out the week. We're going to be dealing with a lot more humidity today than we saw at the beginning of the week, but then also next week across central Georgia. Any 4th of July camps we've got going on, you'll be dealing with the heat and humidity. All of that to say, if you're going to be outside in central Georgia for the next week, you're going to be dealing with the heat and humidity. There's a live look over Dublin this morning. We got temperatures in the 60s and 70s, 68 in Macon, 69 in Warner Robins, 71 in Gordon, 72 waking up in Baldwin County, 66 in Monticello, 69 in Forsyth, and 67 in McRae. So the radar is quiet this morning. That doesn't necessarily mean it's dry outside. We still have the humidity out there that we're working with. And across the southeast, the radar is quiet. So it's not every day you see this, especially in the summertime, and especially compared to the last several weeks. Usually it's been storming somewhere or raining somewhere, whether it be Alabama, Mississippi, South Carolina, North Carolina. Well, nope, just quiet across the board this morning. 70s giving way to 80s, 90s later this afternoon, all the way to a high temperature right around 96. So it's going to be hot, but the change from yesterday to today is that the humidity is building back in, and Caitlin, that's only going to increase into the weekend. We'll talk about those details straight ahead.
Thank you, Alex. Right now, the Georgia Bureau of Investigation and East Dublin police need your help finding this man. It's James Douglas Wilkinson. He's 58 years old from East Dublin. His family reported him missing on June 12th. They say he was last seen in East Dublin on June 1st. His truck, a 2010 silver Nissan Titan, was left at a home on Ralph Keene Road. You can see it here. Anyone with information about his disappearance can call the GBI Region 12 office at 478-374-6988. It's at the bottom of your screen, 478-374-6988. An update now to a story we've been following since Tuesday. People living at a Macon hotel say they were told to leave the Wood Springs Hotel until the water comes back on. Tenants say that the water went off last week. They said management kept them updated and provided bottled water, but they're still frustrated. The complex is under new management, and the water was briefly turned back on late Tuesday, but then was back off that same night. A vacant Macon cigarette plant will soon have a new purpose when a Korean car part manufacturer moves in. The Macon-Bibb Industrial Authority announced Baguk Industries will move into the part of the giant facility.
And he's the one that kind of helped me get on, bless his soul. He's already passed on now, but yeah, he helped me get on here. And I loved it here. It was a great place to work.
That's Tracy Harris. He first started at the plant in 1997. He worked for 8 years in maintenance, but 18 years ago, B&W packed up and moved to North Carolina, and the building has been empty ever since. But Baguk Industries announced plans this week to move into part of the facility. They'll make car parts like fuel lines.
A supplier to the Hyundai project that we're all familiar with that is located near Savannah. And so with that big investment has come a lot of other suppliers that want to be close.
Baguk will only use part of the sprawling facility. Stephen Adams with the Industrial Authority says the building's owners want to make it more attractive for smaller businesses, so they're working to split it up. 6:34, a new Georgia law known as the Safe Schools Act is aimed at keeping kids safe. The bill takes effect on Saturday and requires Georgia public schools to draw up safety plans, then submit them to Georgia Emergency Management and the Homeland Security agencies. Those plans will include details on how they'll handle active shooters and other emergencies. Twiggs County school leaders say once they add improvements to their safety measures, they'll submit them to GEMA. They've already implemented some new measures like tactical shields for school district police officers.
I want to be able to make entry safely, engage the shooter, stop the threat, and save lives.
The school also added about 20 cameras, and they plan to improve fencing around the elementary, middle, and high schools. This weekend, Georgia's ban on most gender-affirming treatments for minors also goes into effect. The law bans gender reassignment surgery and hormone therapy. The law does allow puberty blockers and exceptions for those with a medically viable disorder. Minors getting treatment before Saturday are allowed to continue those treatments. And there are many laws hitting the books on Saturday. To keep you in the loop, we're breaking them down on our website for you. You can find the complete list of new laws going into effect right now on 13WMAZ.com. A proposed rock quarry in Crawford County has the Girl Scouts of Historic Georgia worried. Opponents say construction could cause health problems for people nearby, including campers. Sweetwater Creek runs through Camp Martha Johnston in Crawford County. Because the quarry dust is microcrystallized, it's hard to see and it can move into the stream. The camp uses well water to drink, cook, swim, and clean. CEO Sue Else with Girl Scouts of Historic Georgia says closing the camp is a last option.
We are opposing this, and for good reason. You know, we are very concerned about girls' health while they're at camp. You know, we know that dust clouds can travel, several miles, and that there is pollution that will be happening in those dust clouds. So we want to make sure our girls are breathing clean air.
This month, developers told us they don't believe their quarry would be harmful to neighbors, and they want to bring jobs to Crawford County. County commissioners are scheduled to make a final decision on the quarry on July 18th. All right, now the Girl Power STEM Summer Camp prepares girls to work with artificial intelligence in the future. The girls also learn forensics, anatomy, and engineering with robotics. The camp's goals are to empower girls in all areas of STEM by having them do different projects. A woman from Real Impact Incorporated talks about one girl's exposure.
I just love that she's able to do this at such a young age because the exposure and representation is giving her the confidence to keep going and just get exposed to anything that she can. So.
Definitely some great experiences for those girls. The Girl Power Camp is Monday through Friday for now and will continue on Saturdays during the fall. Well, tonight, Houston County wants to hear from you about projects for the 2024 SPLOST. The County Commission plus mayors from Centerville, Perry, and Warner Robins will hold two public hearings. The first one is tonight at the County Annex on Carl Vinson Parkway. It starts at 6. Leaders are hoping to hear what you want SPLOST dollars to be spent on before a vote next year. After anti-Semitic demonstrations in downtown Macon last week, local and state leaders were quick to condemn the actions. Senator John Ossoff now telling us he's coming to Macon to show his support. He'll attend the Service of Love and Unity. It's at Temple Beth Israel on Sunday, July 2nd at 2 p.m. New information this morning on the Ocmulgee Mounds National Historical Park. Macon-Bibb County and the Housing Authority donated parcels to the park, adding to its acreage. More than 3.5 acres of land near the Davis Homes community is being donated, increasing the total park acreage to 1,860. The National Park Service says the newly acquired area contains evidence of one of the longest periods of human habitation in a small area. The land is situated within the Ocmulgee Old Fields, which was first lived on by the Muskogee Creek Nation. The Georgia Lottery celebrates 30 years. It helps fund the Hope Scholarship and pre-K programs throughout the state. Governor Brian Kemp helped to celebrate the milestone yesterday, saying the lottery has not only benefited a generation of Georgia students, but the entire state.
It is measured in the students who are in good paying jobs all over this state because Hope gave them access to higher education. It is measured by the fact that companies can locate and expand in Georgia regularly. And they say that our well-educated workforce is a major reason for why they choose the Peach State.
Now, since its beginnings in 1993, the lotteries helped support more than 2 million college students, myself included, more than 2 million pre-K students, and returned more than $26 billion to state education programs. The time is 6:38. People in Macon now have a new option when it comes to grocery shopping. SL Sausage Market on Zebulon Road had its grand opening yesterday. Don't let the name fool you. SL offers more than just sausage. The family-run market is a one-stop shop for groceries, home decor, and ready-made food for people on the go. And if you're looking to try out a new place to eat, you can check out all kinds of local places across Central Georgia. Head on over to our Central Georgia Eats page. You'll find the link right at the top of 13WMAZ.com. One of our junior journalists, all grown up, and he is back at the station. Yes, find out more about him ahead of his graduation from UGA. Plus, a big weekend coming up for Independence Day, and Central Georgians aren't slacking on the celebrations. We'll get you all the info you need from scheduling to safety so you can have a great holiday weekend. Time is 6:39. Of course, with those holiday weekend plans, you need to find a plan to stay cool at some point in the day.
Yes, and that includes today on into the weekend and then into next week as well. But the other interesting thing about today is we were talking earlier about the Canadian wildfire smoke. Well, we can actually kind of see its impact right now in central Georgia in the terms of the sunrise. So if this were a normal day, we did not have that wildfire smoke there, the sun, you would not be able to clearly see its edges. But since we have the wildfire smoke in the upper levels of our atmosphere, you can clearly see the sun coming up right about there, and you can see the haziness in the sky up above it. We don't have any clouds around. What you're seeing there is that smoke. So some interesting meteorology for you here on this Thursday morning. Otherwise, we are quiet across downtown. Temperatures in the 60s and 70s this morning. 68 in Macon, 69 in Warner Robins, 64 in Eastman. Just got a couple updated numbers there. 70 in Wrightsville and 70 in Montezuma. The radar, quiet across central Georgia. Radar's quiet, but we're not necessarily dry. Still dealing with that humidity out there. And as I was mentioning, that wildfire smoke is around. It's going to hang around for the next, let's say, 24 to 36 hours, and it's not going to have much luck in going elsewhere. Rather, it's just going to kind of mix into our atmosphere and thus fall apart. So by tomorrow evening, not looking at as much across central Georgia as we're seeing this morning. But we are going to be looking at as much heat tomorrow as we're going to see today. Temperatures into the 90s there by the noon hour. Later this afternoon, mid to upper 90s, mixing in a few clouds as well. Wouldn't surprise me if later tonight we saw perhaps a passing shower anywhere in central Georgia, but still hanging on to 80 degrees here in Macon by that midnight hour. On into tomorrow morning, down into the 70s. Carry this forward into tomorrow afternoon. Another hot afternoon with temperatures in the mid to upper 90s. And then we get into the evening hours. You might remember earlier in the show, Future View was showing showers and storms Friday evening. Well, just as it's been doing the past few weeks, one model run will have something, another model run will not, and now it doesn't. So I still think it's going to be possible, given our setup, that we still have the potential for showers and storms, not only Friday, but then into Saturday as well. As you can see, there you go, into the afternoon and evening hours. This scenario would not be great for all of the events we've got going on across central Georgia, but this is going to change several times between now and Saturday, as you see regularly every time we run the model and get the updated information. On into Sunday, I'm thinking more summertime stuff across central Georgia rather than anything organized. On into Monday, much of the same, and then into Tuesday, that is the 4th of July itself. Going to have a handful of showers and storms around, particularly for that fireworks hour as well. Unsettled back into Mississippi and Alabama and into the Carolinas as well. So the writing is on the wall for an active 4th of July in terms of the radar and the summertime activity. For tomorrow, we are clipped by a level 1 risk. That's going to be Hancock, Jasper, and Putnam counties. But then for Saturday, you saw the storms on Future View. We're all in a level 1 risk there for the threat for potentially some damaging winds and some hail. The humidity, it is going to be hanging around. Dew points in the 70s for the next week. As for the feels like temperatures, they are going to be up there as well. Talking about mid to upper 90s today and then close to that triple-digit mark, if not over it, for tomorrow afternoon. Here's your 7-day forecast. 96 today, 98 for tomorrow, and then actually hitting that triple-digit mark in terms of the air temperature on Saturday. A 30% chance of rain from Saturday on, including the 4th of July, before we're back down to 91 by next Wednesday.